Kansas was unlike any other facet of the war. It was a guerrilla warfare state. It was a particularly horrendous guerrilla war, unlike anything in the East, where you can read the soldiers' accounts about how honorable everybody was, and if there was a rebel soldier who was hurt, a Northern soldier would help him off the battlefield, that kind of stuff. That did not happen in Kansas and Missouri. The Southern sympathizers from Missouri would come in and raid across the Missouri-Kansas border. It was particularly brutal. There was one Southern guerrilla whose name was Quantrell, whose name probably everybody knows, who really delighted in basically terror. They would just come in by night and burn them out, slaughter the family, and then move on. Pond experienced that firsthand. In his memoirs, he talks about just how horrible it was. And he was not at all happy with it, but he apparently grew up very fast because he was quickly promoted to captain and took over the management of a small outpost south of Fort Scott in the town of Baxter Springs. Baxter Springs was an outpost, and its responsibility was to just monitor traffic between the Indian Territory in Oklahoma for any Southern sympathizers and Fort Scott, which was kind of the main point of safety in southern Kansas. So Pond was right on this major thoroughfare. Well, when he got there with his unit of the 3rd Wisconsin Cavalry, it was nothing but breastworks, basically, a 5-foot-high mound of dirt. Nothing else. That was it. That was the outpost. He quickly set to work trying to improve the fortification so at least they could do something if they were attacked. He had been there about 3 days and they were attacked. Quantrill brought in 600 mounted troops and attacked this fort, and they wanted it gone. And Pond's men were out working, trying to build the fortification. They weren't even armed. They were, their arms were inside the fortification. Many of them were massacred. They were barely able to defend themselves. And they did have one mountain howitzer, which, if you know, early artillery is quite a small cannon. But he managed to make his way to this cannon. There was nobody to help him with it. He turned it around, aimed it in the direction he wanted to direct it, loaded it himself all this time while these Southern sympathizers were cruising around. And so he did this himself. I mean, he was a very large man, and so he was able to do it. It would normally take 3 men, 1 to help turn it and 2 to steer the wheels. And he fired off 3 shots. Pretty much that sent the Quantrill's men scurrying. And so he thought, okay, we've finally weathered this, we're going to be fine. Well, he knew that there was another group of soldiers coming in from Fort Scott with the commanding general. And the commanding general was traveling with about a bodyguard of 100 men and the company band. What Quantrill did instead of leaving was just to move up over the hill and intercept this group coming in. And of the 100 men and band members, probably 125 altogether, only 30 of them survived. They were shot and then burned with their wagons, which for Fairwater is really a pretty touching part of the battle because one of the band members was from Fairwater, and he was one of the men killed. But in any case, once Quantrill had finished with that group, he came back again and demanded that Pond surrender the fortification. Pond refused to do it, and Quantrill eventually moved on. So that was the battle for which he was given the Medal of Honor.